Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today we have a special treat for you for our Tesla, and it's this little thing that sometimes you think it has no use for. Believe it or not, it does. So stay tuned. We received this special package right here from our good friends from Tesla. And let's see what we have here. All right, so here we have the screen rotating bracket. And I'll be honest with you, I thought at the beginning, well, I really don't need to move that screen and up and down and side to side like this is claimed to do. But believe it or not, there is use for it. And here we go, unboxing and see what we have inside. Right here we have complete instructions and detailed of all the tools supplied to be able to do this job, and step by step. That makes it really easy to install. Everything is right here. Okay, and then a little cover here. And then here we have the main bracket. This bracket here is what's going to make it swivel side to side and up and down. This is the main unit here. And then it comes with little plastic that you're going to have to replace covers on the screen itself. And of course this one here as well. We're going to have to replace it with this one here. Inside this little packet here. And this is pretty important because it brings a little cover. I think this is for in the back of it in case there's a big space. For different models you may have a space, and others you may not. You may use it, may not have to use this. And this part here is the little part that goes with the, I believe this is the temperature sensors, and there's two different ones. This one is for the older models, Model 3 and Y, from 17 to 2020. This one here. This one here is the one we're going to use for our Model 3 2021. So this one is good for Model 3 2021 and newer. This is the one you'll be using. So this is the one we'll be using as well. Comes with some bolts that you're going to have to replace, and a complete toolkit of everything you need to do the whole job with no problems. And like I always say, you always keep these. You're always going to use them. There's always something you have to unsnap, and this makes it much easier, much safer to open up and take things apart. All right, so without further ado, here we go with the installation. Okay, so here we are to do the installation, and the first thing you have to do is click on the little car here in the corner, go to display, and then right here, screen clean mode. And that's going to stay dark like that, so that way we can touch and not have things to be done there on the screen while you're working. So it'll stay dark like this until we finish the installation. Okay, so next, before we take off the screen, I happen to have a screen cover that I use all the time. So I'm going to put the screen cover on, so that way we don't scratch the surface on the screen there when we put it down. So we're going to go ahead and put this on and flip it over there, and now we're ready to take it off. We're going to start right behind here. Okay, so I was able to get it on the edge here, and you just have to work it all the way around until it pops out. It just popped out right there. And first thing we have to do here is that little cable right there. We have to take that off, and that's the cover right there. Okay, so our next thing, take the cable off. So once you take off this little cover here, you'll see a little tab inside there, right inside there. All you have to do is just push it to one side and pull the plug out. Don't pull by the cables, just grab the plug and pull it out, but you have to depress that little tab inside there. Okay, once you press that little tab and you put a little pressure upward, it unclicks, and there we go. That's the cable there. And this we're going to take off from here and put it on the new piece that comes with the kit, but we'll do that later. So this we'll just put to the side for now, and then we're going to the next step. So the next step is, there's two bolts here, one here and one right there. I'm going to take those off next. We're using a 10mm ratchet. It's going to make it much easier than using the tool they gave us. Even though you could use them, if you don't have any tools, you could use those tools. But this one here makes it much more easier to take off. Okay, that one's loose, and we go to the second one now. I think we have it there now. Now these bolts, once you take them off, you'll reuse them again. So we're going to put these bolts to the side. And that's the second one there. We'll put them to the side here. And now we're ready to pull out the screen from its place here. Okay, and we're just going to lay it down right here. Okay, so taking it out, we had to jiggle side to side a little bit and pull with a little bit of force. It didn't come out that easy, but it wasn't really that bad. I mean, a little bit of force, and then it pops right out, and you just have to be careful. Grab it on both sides, and then you just lay it down here. And then the next thing we're going to do is take off these two screws on each side here, and then there's a plug in the middle that we need to take off. So we're going to go ahead and do that next. And that screw should be right under there, and the other one should be at the end there. Okay, so now we're going to use the tool supplied to go ahead and take off that screw in there. And this screw on this side was almost completely loose, and the one on this side, it wasn't really that difficult either, but it was a little tighter. So we're just going to go ahead and take them off completely. Take the other one a little bit more. As you can see, the cover is already loose. Let me see if it's completely loose, and it is. Okay, so here we are with the plug. So our next thing is, number one, is take the little screws off so we won't lose them, and then we could pull the cover all the way out to here. And that's one, and that's the other one, and here's the screws there. And I believe these screws, I don't know if we have to use them or not, but we'll check that afterwards. I'm going to put this to the side, and now here we have a white clip that we have to take off, and that one I just pull it to the side to side here, and pull it upwards, and that's all. But I'm going to need two hands, so I'm going to go ahead and loosen it up a little bit and see if I can pull it upward. Okay, so once you get it loose, you can just pull it up and out of the way, or you could just slip it, open it up in the center there, and slip it right off. There we go. And that's all it is right there. Alright, we'll put that to the side there. Then our next one is this plug right here. Now this plug here, you have to be really careful. So remember, this is the only entrance of data into the screen here. So you want to take care of this plug all you can. Don't pull by the cables, and don't be too strong with it. Just be really gentle, and we're going to take it off. There's a little tab on the side here we have to press. Once you press that tab, you can just pull it out right out. So let's go ahead and do that next. Okay, once you press that tab in, you hold it in, and then you go side to side gently, and it comes off. But be really gentle with this, because this is the only data information coming to that screen, so you got to be careful with this plug at all cost. All right, so now we're able to take off this plastic cover here. All right, we can put this to the side. This we're going to replace. All right, so now we're ready to start the install of the new swivel mount. Okay, so the next thing we're going to go install is the mounting bracket. This is the swivel bracket, and we're going to go ahead and slip it right in there in the same mount space that we had the original one. So we're just going to slip it in there little by little, and right here it's one of the bolts and the other one's right there. So what we're going to do is line up the holes on the bracket with this hole here, so we could go ahead and screw in the original bolts that we took off earlier. So we're going to have to put this in there like that. Okay, and that one fits in there perfectly. And we'll go ahead and install the second one, and this one goes here. And see, the hole is not in place there, so we just have to push it in a little bit, and there we go. And now the screw goes all the way through. So the next thing we're going to use is our ratchet again, so we could re-tighten them up. You're just going to tighten as much as you can without over tightening. You don't want to break something there, so you just tighten them as tight as you can go, and you'll know it's tight enough when this doesn't move anymore. Now it's nice and tight there and it doesn't move. Okay. If you need to move this little thing here, you could just move it like that, or the other way if you need to get to that bolt to tighten them up. That's not a problem. Now there's also right under here, that bolt right there, you can use this little wrench they gave us right there. We're not going to use it, and it's recommended by the manufacturer that you leave that bolt there with the tension that it has now, which is standard tension. But if you desire to have this a little loose, you can use this Allen wrench, hefty one at that. You just put it under here, and you can loosen it up, or you can tighten it up to your likings. But they recommend that the standard tightening they have there now is the perfect one. So first try that, and if you need to loosen it, then you do that, and if you need to make it tighter, then you can do that as well. But for now, we're going to use the standard, which is the way it comes from factory. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is install this cover that goes on top of this here, and it takes a little trick to be able to get it in there right, but you have to run it in there like that. And then you have to make it go under here. And if you need to move this little thing, you can move it a little bit to one side like that. And then there we go. And you get that plate in place there. All right, and then back here, this little tabs here, they clip behind the wooden part here, so that way you won't have that big gap in there. So I'm going to go ahead and use my two hands to put it in place, and then I'll come right back. All right, so the important thing before you put this plastic part in there, you can see right there, there's a little clip right there, and there's three of them. There's one in the middle, one at the other end. The important thing is to put it inside there and clip it on the bottom first, inside this opening here, and then on the top we're going to just push it in and clip these little three clips inside this area here to hold it in place. But just be gentle, don't
push anything and don't force anything, because you can break these things easily. Okay, so once we had it in here on the top, all we did is just push down, and these clips fall behind the edge of the wood panel right there. So that part is done. So we're going to the next part now. Right, this is important. What you do is you put this through the thin part of the cable here, and then you're just going to push it down, and it clicks in place there, and that's all you have to do there. So now we're ready to put the screen onto this here, but before that, of course, we still have to put this part here with the original screws, and that'll be next. All right, so now we're ready to put this little piece on, and it only goes one way. You can see the opening here, little rounded area, and the cable. So the important thing here is to put the screw in place before you mount it in place on the screen. You got to push it in, and they have to seat well there. Once it seats well, then you could put it over and tighten them up onto the screen. All right, so once you get this to seat well, you just give it a little bit more, and that's it. Don't over tighten, because if you do, you may end up cracking the plastic there. So just seat it and then give it a little bit more, and that's it. So now we're ready to go ahead and hook up on here. So now we're going to put this back into the place here and gently push it until it seats well and it's hanging there on its own. And now we're ready to put these two screws here. These screws are the ones they supplied that we have to use. One here and one there. And that's next. Alright, so here's the bolt. We're going to put it in here. And this one's a little difficult. The bolt goes in an angle in there. You just have to find the right angle to have it grip in there. Once it grips, then you're going to use the Allen wrench supplied to tighten them up. And so we have this one on this side, and there's one on the other end as well. All right, so we have a little issue putting these bolts in. So I took off the screen off of the bracket here and put the screw in. And once we put the screw in with the Allen wrench, I put it in several threads and went back and forth to clean the threads, because it looked like they had some little piece of metal inside the threads, and the screw would not go in freely. Now they do go in a little tight anyway, but once you clean that and break anything that is in the way there, it'll make it much easier. So what I did is I put it in as maybe 4 or 5 turns, and then went back and forth to clean it out. And they still are a little resistant, so they're not easy to turn, but it'll work. Once you do this, then you know that you can go ahead and put it on with the screen. And also you'll see that it has an angle, so you have to put the screw in the same angle you see there as well. So that's one of the tips that I can give you for this, because if you try to put that in there and you try to feed it in, you're going to have problems trying to screw it in, because it's really difficult when it has little pieces of metal in the way inside the thread. All right, the two bolts under here, they're a little bit difficult to put in place. You can see the angle that I have on the tool there. That's the angle of the screws. So you have to push the screw into that same angle that you see there. And that's where we're going to go ahead and tighten it up now. Once you do one side, sometimes the other side is a little less difficult. All right, so now we have the bracket together. Everything's in place. And now we have this little cable here that we have to put to the temperature sensor. So the next thing we have to do is take off these two screws here from this one, and we're going to install it onto this piece here. Now this piece here only works for 2021 Model 3 NY and newer. there's another attachment that you can use if your car is 2020 and before. This one is 2021 and above. So here we go. Okay, this part here, there's only one way that this goes in. If you put it the wrong way, these little things here, the tabs where the screw goes through, won't line up well. Now if you turn it around, they line up perfectly right there on each side with no problems. So there's no way to put it wrong. You just have to make sure you're lining up the screw holes with the little tabs on each side. So now we're going to go ahead and put the screws in and tighten them up. And again, you don't want to over tighten these things because you end up breaking. Everything is plastic and you don't want to break them. And that's the next one there. And that's it there. If you have a little movement, you just tighten a little bit more until you have no movement there. All right, so the next thing is this plug right here. And again, the plug only goes in one way, so there's no way to make a mistake. So we're going to plug that into the temperature sensor, and then we're going to go ahead and put the cable back in, space in there, and I'm going to clip this little plastic thing on the hole right there. That'll be the next thing we're going to do. And this should be the final. This is the final, and we're done after this. Alright, so this part here, it has a little tab on this side, one on this side. It goes behind the main plastic here, and then right in the bottom, in the middle here, there has another wider tab. That tab has to go behind the plastic here. So what I did is I used this piece, put it behind here, pulled it out, and then I was able to clip it in place there. The tab goes behind the main plastic, and two little tabs here go behind the main plastic as well, and then you just slide it down into place here. It was a little difficult, but it's not impossible. The whole installation, some parts are a little difficult, but it's not impossible. You can do it. Anybody can do it. All right, so the next thing we have here, we're going to go ahead and power up the screen. Let's take off the cover. By the way, you could grab this cover here on the link in the description if you need one. I have it. It's a UV protector for the screen. So we could push the screen down a little bit. There. And then how to turn on the screen, we have to do a reset, pressing the two scroll buttons on each side of the steering wheel. And that we're going to do next. Alright guys, we're done with the installation. And one little tip at the end, if the screen, when you put it on there, is completely black, it went to sleep mode. It's on standby. Completely black, nothing turns on. And even if you press the two buttons here to reset, it still stays completely dark. But if you're on the driver's seat for a long time, the whole thing goes to sleep mode and it goes black completely. So if you see your screen black completely and you can't turn it on by doing the reset, don't panic. Just get off the seat, get out of the car, and come back in and sit again. Once you sit again in the seat, the screen will turn on again. So that's a little tip there that may freak out a lot of people when your screen is completely black. But in this case, just get out of the seat, sit back in, and the screen comes back in like you see it here. Everything is working fine. I like the ability to be able to move this up and down. And I'll be honest with you, at the beginning, I didn't think I had any use for the swivel mount. And believe it or not, you do get used to it. You like the positions that you could put it in. And sometimes if you get a glare from outside, you could just turn it a little bit and towards you and do away with the glare. So that's one of the plus things. And I'll be coming with more things that I like about it, and afterwards, and maybe in a future video as well. So stay tuned for that. And so far we're done. I like the mount, it looks really nice, and hope you guys liked the video. Thank you so much for watching, thank you for subscribing, and don't forget to put the like button right down here. Thank you so much. We'll see you on the next one. And remember, get Tesla-tized and charge on, baby. One of the things that I like about the screen swivel is that it sits lower than the original bracket, and that gives you a full view side to side of your front windshield. It is awesome. I really like it, and I recommend it.